Christmas Eve started with a cheerful commotion. The fireplace crackled, the Christmas tree sparkled and exuded the scent of pine, and the air was filled with the laughter of family and friends. Cora and I, Thomas, were laughing and handing out gifts to the children, smiling and rejoicing with them. But as I returned to the living room with a glass of mulled wine, my joy turned into shock. Cora stood embraced by a man in a Santa costume. My heart stopped. I couldn't believe my eyes. Everything seemed to freeze around me except for the pounding of my shattered heart. Cora, her back turned to me, hadn't noticed my return, and I silently retreated into the shadows, watching this betrayal unfold. My head spun with pain and disbelief. What was happening? How could this happen right on Christmas? My hands trembled as I clutched the glass, trying to gather my thoughts. But answers eluded me, replaced only by agonizing speculation. After what felt like an eternity, I slowly stepped aside, pretending I hadn't noticed anything. My heart bled with pain. Every glance toward Cora felt like a knife in my soul. The whole party now seemed like a shadow, and the merry voices turned into whispers of deceit and betrayal. I tried to suppress my emotions, but the pain and rage burned inside me brighter than any fire on the Christmas tree. Finally, unable to contain myself any longer, I slipped outside to catch a breath of fresh air, to quell the raging inferno inside me. Under the stars, I allowed myself to break down, tears of anguish scorching my cheeks like acid. My heart tore into pieces from the betrayal of the one I thought was my destiny, my other half. But even amid this darkness, I knew I had children who shouldn't suffer because of our shattered marriage. Returning to the house, I put on a facade of normalcy, preserving their happiness for this evening. Yet inside, the storm still raged, and the questions about the future of our marriage remained unanswered. The morning after that fateful Christmas Eve felt like waking up from a nightmare into a harsh reality. As the sun peeked through the curtains, I found myself still reeling from the events of the previous night. Cora was already awake when I entered the kitchen, her demeanor strained as if she were trying to pretend that everything was normal. But the tension in the air was palpable, thick enough to suffocate. We exchanged terse greetings, avoiding each other's eyes like strangers passing in the street. The weight of unspoken words hung heavily between us, suffocating any attempt at casual conversation. I busied myself with making breakfast, the clatter of dishes a feeble attempt to drown out the deafening silence. But no matter how loud the noise, it couldn't drown out the questions echoing in my mind. Why? That one word reverberated through my thoughts like a relentless drumbeat, demanding an answer that seemed forever out of reach. Cora avoided my gaze, her eyes fixed on some distant point beyond the kitchen window. I wanted to scream, to shake her until the truth spilled out, but I knew that would solve nothing. Instead, I focused on the practicalities of the morning, trying to maintain some semblance of normalcy for the sake of our children. But every glance, every interaction with Cora felt like a fresh wound, reopening the pain of betrayal anew. As the morning wore on, the tension in the air only seemed to intensify, like a gathering storm on the horizon. I knew that we couldn't go on like this, trapped in this suffocating limbo of silence and resentment. But the prospect of confronting Cora, of facing the truth head-on, filled me with a paralyzing fear. What if her betrayal was more than just a momentary lapse in judgment? What if it was a symptom of deeper issues that threatened to tear our marriage apart? I pushed those thoughts aside for now, focusing instead on getting through the day one moment at a time. But deep down, I knew that sooner or later, we would have to confront the truth and decide where we went from here. Days turned into weeks, but the weight of Cora's betrayal hung over our household like a dark cloud, casting a shadow over even the brightest moments. Every smile felt forced, every laugh hollow, as if we were all just going through the motions of a life that no longer felt real. I couldn't shake the feeling of unease that settled over me like a second skin, the nagging doubt that gnawed at the edges of my mind. I needed answers, closure, but Cora remained elusive, her silence a barrier that I couldn't breach. Finally, unable to bear the uncertainty any longer, I confronted her one evening after the children had gone to bed. The air between us crackled with tension as I struggled to find the right words, to give voice to the turmoil that churned inside me. Why? It was the only question that mattered, the one that had haunted me since that fateful Christmas Eve. But even as the word left my lips, I knew that it was only the beginning. Cora's eyes flickered with a mixture of guilt and defiance as she met my gaze, her jaw set in a stubborn line. For a moment, neither of us spoke, the silence stretching between us like a vast chasm that threatened to swallow us whole. And then, finally she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Her words were a torrent of emotions, raw and unfiltered, as she confessed to a moment of weakness, a lapse in judgment that had shattered the fragile trust between us. But even as she spoke, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, that she was holding something back, something that she couldn't bring herself to admit. I wanted to believe her, to forgive her, but the wounds were still too fresh, too raw. How could I trust her again, knowing that she was capable of such deceit? In the end, we both left the conversation feeling more lost and confused than ever, the gulf between us widening with each passing moment. I knew that we had a long road ahead of us, filled with obstacles and pitfalls that threatened to tear us apart. But as I lay awake that night, staring up at the ceiling in the darkness, I couldn't help but wonder if our marriage was worth fighting for, or if it was already beyond saving. In the wake of our confrontation, a heavy silence settled over our home, suffocating any attempts at normalcy. Every room seemed to echo with the weight of unspoken words, the tension between Cora and me a palpable presence that hung in the air like a dense fog. I found myself retreating into solitude more and more, seeking solace in the quiet moments when the rest of the world seemed to fade away. It was in these moments of stillness that I could finally confront the turmoil raging inside me, to grapple with the conflicting emotions that threatened to consume me whole. But even as I sought refuge in solitude, I couldn't escape the nagging sense of doubt that plagued my every waking moment. Was our marriage truly worth saving, or was it nothing more than a facade, a hollow shell of what it once was? Cora, too, seemed lost in her thoughts, her once bright eyes now dulled with the weight of guilt and regret. I wanted to reach out to her, to bridge the gap that had formed between us, but every attempt felt like grasping at shadows, fleeting and insubstantial. And so I turned to other sources of comfort, seeking solace in the familiar routines of everyday life. I threw myself into my work, burying myself in the mundane tasks that offered a reprieve from the chaos of my thoughts. But no matter how hard I tried to distract myself, the questions lingered, festering like an open wound that refused to heal. What had driven Cora into the arms of another man? Was our marriage truly beyond repair, or was there still hope for redemption? In the end, I knew that I couldn't find the answers I sought in solitude. I needed to confront Cora once more, to lay bare the raw emotions that had been festering inside me for far too long. But as I stood on the threshold of her room, my hand poised to knock, I hesitated. What if the truth was more than I could bear? What if the answers I sought only served to deepen the wounds that already lay open and bleeding? In the end, I knew that I had no choice but to face the truth head on, whatever the costs. And so, with a deep breath and a prayer for strength, I knocked on Cora's door, ready to confront the demons that had been haunting us both. As Cora opened the door, I saw the weariness etched into the lines of her face, a mirror of my turmoil. We stood there for a moment, locked in a silent battle of wills, before she finally stepped aside, allowing me to enter. The air between us crackled with tension, the weight of unspoken words hanging heavy in the air. But as we sat down opposite each other, a fragile truce settled over us, born of the shared pain that bound us together. For the first time since that fateful Christmas Eve, we spoke openly and honestly, laying bare the raw emotions that had been festering beneath the surface. Cora confessed her guilt and regret, her voice trembling with emotion as she recounted the events that had led to her betrayal. I listened in silence, my heart heavy with the weight of her words. But even as she spoke, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story, that she was still holding something back, something that she couldn't bring herself to admit. And then, finally, it was my turn to speak. I poured out my heartache and confusion, the pain of betrayal still fresh in my mind. But even as I spoke, a part of me yearned for reconciliation, for the chance to rebuild what had been broken. But as the words hung in the air between us, I knew that the road ahead would not be easy. Trust, once broken, was not easily mended, and the scars of betrayal ran deep. In the end, we were left with a choice: to cling to the shattered remnants of our marriage, or part ways and start anew. It was a decision that neither of us could make lightly, a crossroads that would shape the course of our lives for years to come. And so, as we sat there in the gathering darkness, the weight of our decision pressing down upon us, I knew that whatever path we chose, it would be one that we walked alone. In the days that followed our candid conversation, a heavy silence hung over our home like a shroud. Cora and I navigated through the mundane tasks of daily life with quiet resignation, each lost in our thoughts. But beneath the surface, a storm brewed, a tempest of conflicting emotions and unspoken truths that threatened to tear us apart. We both knew that we couldn't continue to live in this limbo, trapped between reconciliation and parting ways. And so one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and the world was bathed in the soft hues of twilight, we finally sat down together to confront the decision that lay before us. The air between us crackled with tension as we spoke, each word heavy with the weight of our uncertainty. Cora confessed her fears and doubts, her voice barely above a whisper as she laid bare her soul for me to see. I listened in silence, my heart heavy with the burden of her pain. But even as she spoke, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were still dancing around the truth, that there was more to this story than either of us was willing to admit. And then, finally, it was my turn to speak. I poured out my fears and insecurities, the wounds of betrayal still raw and bleeding. But even as I spoke, a part of me yearned for forgiveness, for the chance to rebuild what had been broken. But as the words hung in the air between us, I knew that the decision could not be made lightly. It was a choice that would shape the course of our lives for years to come, a crossroads from which there could be no turning back. In the end, we both knew what had to be done. With heavy hearts and tear-stained eyes, we made the painful decision to part ways, to go our separate ways and start anew. And as we stood there, on the threshold of a new beginning, I knew that whatever lay ahead, we would both find the strength to face it, together or apart. For in the end, it was not the destination that mattered, but the journey we took to get there. The decision to part ways weighed heavily on both Cora and me, like an anchor dragging us down into the depths of uncertainty. In the aftermath, our once vibrant home felt hollow, each room echoing with the ghosts of our past. But amidst the sorrow and the ache of loss, there was a glimmer of something else, a flicker of hope, a whisper of possibility. As we navigated the logistics of separating our lives, the practicalities of dividing belongings and untangling finances, we found ourselves on unfamiliar ground, treading the shaky bridge between what was and what could be. Each conversation felt like tiptoeing through a minefield, careful not to detonate the volatile emotions that simmered just beneath the surface. Yet, despite the pain, there was a sense of liberation in the air, a freedom born of release. With each box packed and each piece of furniture moved, we shed the weight of our shared history, making space for the promise of a new beginning. Cora was the first to leave, her departure leaving behind a void that seemed to stretch into infinity. I watched her go, a lump forming in my throat as I grappled with the finality of her absence. It was a surreal moment, standing in the doorway of our home, knowing that it would never be the same again. And then, it was my turn to forge ahead into the unknown. As I loaded my belongings into the back of my car, I felt a strange mix of sadness and excitement wash over me. The road ahead was uncertain, dotted with pitfalls and obstacles, but it was also brimming with possibility, a blank canvas upon which to paint the next chapter of my life. As I drove away from our home for the last time, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the experiences we had shared, even as I mourned the loss of what could have been. The future was uncertain, but I knew that I had the strength and resilience to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, with a deep breath and a heart full of hope, I embraced the change that lay before me, ready to chart a new course and write my own story. For in the end, it wasn't the destination that mattered, but the journey itself, the winding path that led us to where we were meant to be. In the wake of our separation, I found myself adrift in a sea of uncertainty, the familiar landmarks of my life fading into the distance as I charted a new course. But amidst the chaos and upheaval, there was a glimmer of something else, a sense of possibility, a chance for rediscovery. With each passing day, I embraced the freedom of my newfound independence, relishing in the simple pleasures of solitude and self-reflection. I spent my days exploring new hobbies and interests, reacquainting myself with the person I had once been before life's twists and turns led me astray. I delved into books long neglected, losing myself in the pages of stories both old and new. I rediscovered the joy of cooking, experimenting with flavors and recipes in the sanctuary of my kitchen. And I found solace in nature, immersing myself in the tranquility of the great outdoors, where the cacophony of the world faded into the background and I was free to simply be. But amidst the moments of clarity and self-discovery, there were still days when the pain of our separation weighed heavily on my heart, when the memories of our life together threatened to overwhelm me. In those moments, I turned to the support of friends and family, finding strength in their unwavering love and understanding. And as the weeks turned into months, I began to realize that the end of one chapter was merely the beginning of another, a chance to rewrite my story, to forge a path forward that was uniquely my own. For in the crucible of adversity, I discovered a resilience and strength that I never knew I possessed, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always light to be found. As I stood on the threshold of this new chapter in my life, I felt a sense of excitement and anticipation wash over me. A feeling that anything was possible and that the future held endless opportunities for growth and transformation. And as I took the first tentative steps into the unknown, I knew that no matter what lay ahead, I would face it with courage and conviction, ready to embrace whatever the journey had in store. In the quiet moments of solitude, I found solace. The initial sting of separation slowly gave way to a sense of acceptance, and with it, the gradual healing of my wounded heart began. I immersed myself in activities that brought me joy and fulfillment, finding solace in the simple pleasures of everyday life. Whether it was taking long walks in the crisp morning air or losing myself in the pages of a captivating book, I relished the moments of peace and tranquility that filled my days. But healing wasn't just about finding distractions. It was also about confronting the pain head-on, allowing myself to feel the full spectrum of emotions that came with the end of a chapter in my life. I allowed myself to grieve for what was lost, acknowledging the depth of my sorrow while also holding on to the hope of brighter days ahead. Through therapy and self-reflection, I began to unravel the tangled web of emotions that had kept me trapped in a cycle of hurt and resentment. I learned to forgive, not just Cora, but also myself, for the mistakes of the past, understanding that true healing could only come from a place of compassion and understanding. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, I felt the weight of my burdens begin to lift, replaced by a newfound sense of lightness and clarity. The scars of my past remained, a reminder of the trials I had endured, but they no longer held power over me. In their place, I found strength, a quiet resilience that had been forged in the crucible of adversity. I no longer feared the future, but rather embraced it with open arms, eager to see where the journey would take me. In the end, I realized that healing wasn't just about overcoming pain. It was about embracing the fullness of life in all its complexity, finding beauty and meaning amid chaos and uncertainty. And as I looked ahead to the horizon, I knew that whatever challenges lay in store, I would face them with courage and grace, secure in the knowledge that I had the strength to weather any storm. As the seasons changed and time marched on, I found myself standing at the threshold of a new chapter in my life, a chapter filled with hope, possibility, and the promise of new beginnings. With each passing day, I felt the wounds of the past continue to heal, leaving behind only faint scars as reminders of the trials I had overcome. I had emerged from the darkness stronger and more resilient than before, ready to embrace whatever the future held in store. I took tentative steps forward, venturing out into the world with a newfound sense of purpose and determination. I reconnected with old friends and forged new connections, finding solace in the warmth and support of those who had stood by me through thick and thin. But it wasn't just my social life that flourished in this new chapter. I also found success and fulfillment in my career. With renewed focus and dedication, I poured myself into my work, seizing every opportunity that came my way and striving to reach new heights of achievement. And amidst the hustle and bustle of everyday life, I made sure to carve out moments of quiet reflection, allowing myself to savor the beauty and wonder of the world around me. Whether it was watching the sunset paint the sky in hues of pink and gold, or simply taking a moment to breathe in the crisp morning air, I reveled in the simple pleasures that filled my days. As I stood on the threshold of this new chapter in my life, I felt a sense of gratitude wash over me, a gratitude for the journey that had brought me to this point, for the lessons learned and the growth experienced along the way. And as I looked ahead to the future, I knew that whatever challenges lay in store, I would face them with courage and conviction, secure in the knowledge that I was exactly where I was meant to be. As I sat amidst the tranquility of a sun-kissed afternoon, I found myself immersed in the rich tapestry of memories that had woven themselves into the fabric of my life. Each thread, vibrant and alive with emotion, told a story of love and loss, of triumph and defeat, of the intricate dance that is the human experience. I thought back to the early days of my marriage, to the heady rush of excitement and anticipation that had accompanied our vows. It was a time of innocence and naivety, a time when the future stretched out before us like an endless horizon, filled with promise and possibility. But as the years passed, the cracks began to form, slowly at first, like fissures in the earth before an earthquake. We weathered the storms as best we could, clinging to the hope that love would see us through. But in the end, it was not enough to stem the tide of change that swept through our lives like a raging river. And so, we found ourselves adrift in a sea of uncertainty, our once solid foundation crumbling beneath us. The pain of our separation was like a dagger to the heart, tearing through the fabric of our shared history with a merciless precision. But amidst the wreckage, there were moments of beauty, glimmers of light that pierced the darkness and illuminated the path forward. I found solace in the warmth of friendship, in the gentle embrace of those who had walked this road before me. Their wisdom and compassion served as a guiding light, leading me through the darkest of nights. I also found solace in the healing power of nature, in the quiet majesty of the world around me, whether it was the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze or the soothing sound of rain tapping against the window pane. I found comfort in the simple rhythms of life. And as I reflected on the journey that had brought me to this moment, I realized that every twist and turn, every triumph and tribulation had been a stepping stone on the path to self-discovery. I had emerged from the crucible of adversity stronger and more resilient than before, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead with courage and conviction. For in the end, life was not just about the destination, but the journey, the winding road that led us through the valleys of despair and the peaks of triumph, shaping us into the people we were meant to be. As I looked ahead to the future, I knew that whatever lay in store, I would face it with an open heart and a spirit of adventure, ready to embrace the next chapter of my story. Weeks turned into months, and the passage of time brought with it a newfound sense of clarity and perspective. As I navigated the ebb and flow of life, I found myself drawn back to the memories of my past, both the joys and the sorrows, the triumphs and the regrets. But amidst the cacophony of emotions, there was a whisper of something else, a longing for closure, a yearning for reconciliation. And so, with a heart heavy with uncertainty, I reached out to Cora, extending an olive branch in the hopes of finding peace. Our reunion was tentative at first, like two old friends cautiously circling each other, unsure of where the other stood. But as we talked and laughed and reminisced, the walls between us began to crumble, revealing the fragile bond that still held us together. We spoke of the past with honesty and vulnerability, laying bare the scars of our shared history. And as we did, I felt the weight of resentment and anger lift from my shoulders, replaced by a sense of forgiveness and understanding. In the warmth of Cora's embrace, I found solace, a refuge from the storm that had raged within me for so long. And as we held each other close, I knew that the wounds of the past could finally begin to heal, paving the way for a brighter future. As we moved forward together, hand in hand, I realized that reconciliation was not just about patching up old wounds, but about forging a new path forward, a path built on a foundation of love, trust, and mutual respect. As we walked that path together, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them as a team, united in our commitment to each other and to the journey that lay ahead. For in the end, it was not the destination that mattered, but the love and connection that bound us together, stronger than ever before. With reconciliation came the daunting task of rebuilding, a journey fraught with challenges and uncertainties, yet brimming with the promise of a brighter future. As Cora and I embarked on this new chapter of our lives together, we approached it with a renewed sense of determination and purpose. We knew that rebuilding our relationship would not be easy, and that it would require patience, communication, and a willingness to confront the demons of our past. But we also knew that it was a journey worth taking, a journey that held the potential for growth, healing, and transformation. We started small, laying the groundwork for a solid foundation upon which to rebuild our relationship. We spent hours in heartfelt conversations, exploring the depths of our emotions and laying bare the vulnerabilities that had long been buried beneath the surface. We sought out counseling, both individually and together, seeking guidance and support as we navigated the complexities of our relationship. With each session, we gained new insights and tools to help us overcome the obstacles that lay in our path. And as we worked tirelessly to mend the cracks in our relationship, we also took the time to rediscover the joys of companionship and partnership. We laughed together, cried together, and celebrated the small victories along the way. But perhaps most importantly, we learned to forgive, not just each other, but also ourselves for the mistakes of the past. We acknowledged that we were human, imperfect beings capable of both great love and great hurt, and that true healing could only come from a place of compassion and understanding. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, I watched with awe and gratitude as our relationship blossomed anew, like a phoenix rising from the ashes of its former self. We had weathered the storm together, emerging on the other side stronger and more resilient than ever before. And as we stood hand in hand, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, I knew that our love was stronger than any obstacle, and that together, there was nothing we couldn't overcome. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the landscape, Cora and I stood together on the threshold of a new horizon. The journey we had embarked upon had been long and arduous, filled with twists and turns that had tested the very fabric of our relationship. But through it all, we had emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. In the quiet moments of reflection, I marveled at how far we had come. The wounds of the past were still tender, but they no longer held the power to dictate our future. We had faced our demons head-on, confronting the pain and uncertainty that had once threatened to tear us apart. And in doing so, we had discovered a deeper, more profound love, one that was forged in the crucible of adversity, tempered by the fires of our shared experience. As we stood together, hand in hand, I felt a sense of peace wash over me, a peace born of the knowledge that we had weathered the storm and emerged on the other side, stronger and more united than ever before. And as we gazed out into the vast expanse of the unknown, I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, bound by a love that was as enduring as it was resilient. For in the end, it was not the destination that mattered, but the journey itself, the winding road that had led us to this moment, and the countless adventures that still lay ahead. And as we stepped forward into the unknown, I knew that our love would light the way, guiding us through the darkness and into the dawn of a new day. Under the vast expanse of the night sky, where stars shimmered like diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas, I found myself enveloped in a profound sense of gratitude. It was a gratitude that transcended mere words, a sentiment that resonated deep within the core of my being. A recognition of the intricate tapestry of experiences that had shaped the course of my life, particularly the journey shared with Cora. As I reclined against the soft grass, cradled by the gentle embrace of nature, I allowed my mind to wander through the labyrinth of memories that defined our relationship. There were moments of boundless joy, like the day we exchanged vows under a canopy of blossoms, our hearts overflowing with love and promise. Yet there were also moments of profound sorrow when the weight of our trials threatened to extinguish the flame of hope that flickered within us. But through it all, there was love, a love that had withstood the test of time, a love that had weathered the fiercest of storms. It was a love born in the quiet moments of companionship, nurtured by shared laughter and tears, and strengthened by the challenges we had faced together. As I reflected on our journey, I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude for the unwavering support of friends and family who had stood by us through thick and thin, for the countless blessings that had illuminated our path, and most of all, for the gift of Cora's presence in my life. In her, I had found a partner, a confidant, and a soulmate, a beacon of light to guide me through the darkest of nights and the fiercest of tempests. Her unwavering faith in our love had sustained me through moments of doubt and uncertainty, reminding me of the boundless potential that lay within our connection. Together, we had weathered storms that would have shattered lesser bonds, emerging from the tempest battered but unbroken, our love tempered by adversity and fortified by resilience. As I turned to gaze into Cora's eyes, I saw reflected in them a depth of emotion that mirrored my own, a recognition of the trials we had overcome and the triumphs that still awaited us. And in that shared gaze, I found solace, a refuge from the chaos of the world outside, a sanctuary where our love could flourish and thrive. As the night wore on, and the stars continued their celestial dance, I made a silent vow to cherish each moment, to savor the beauty of our connection, to celebrate the resilience of our love, and to never take for granted the precious gift of companionship that we shared. For in a world filled with uncertainty and strife, our love was a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of resilience, the strength of commitment, and the transformative potential of gratitude. And as we embraced beneath the shimmering stars, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together, united in love and gratitude, bound by the symphony of our shared journey. In the hushed embrace of dawn's gentle light, Cora and I stood poised at the precipice of our shared destiny, a canvas awaiting the brushstrokes of our dreams. The symphony of our love, woven through trials and triumphs, reverberated in the air like a promise whispered by the universe, an affirmation of the boundless possibilities that lay before us. As the morning sun painted the sky in hues of gold and rose, I found myself mesmerized by the sheer magnitude of what lay ahead. Our dreams, once nebulous wisps of longing, now shimmered with the potential to transcend the boundaries of imagination. Together we had weathered the tempests of life, our love emerging from the crucible of adversity stronger and more resilient than ever before. And now, as we stood on the threshold of a new chapter, we embraced the vast expanse of possibility that stretched out before us, a tapestry waiting to be woven with the threads of our deepest desires. Our dreams were as diverse as the colors of the dawn, a kaleidoscope of aspirations, hopes, and ambitions that pulsed with the rhythm of our shared heartbeat. We dreamed of building a home that echoed with laughter and echoed with the warmth of our love, where every corner whispered tales of shared memories and whispered promises. We dreamed of traversing the globe, hand in hand, immersing ourselves in the tapestry of cultures and landscapes that adorned our planet's surface. And above all, we dreamed of a future steeped in fulfillment and joy, where the echoes of our laughter reverberated through the halls of time. But dreams, we knew, were not meant to languish in the confines of imagination. They were meant to be lived, breathed, and sculpted into reality through the sheer force of our will. And so, with hearts ablaze with purpose, we embarked on a journey to manifest the visions that danced in the recesses of our souls. We toiled with tireless determination, pouring the essence of our beings into each endeavor, whether it be nurturing the seeds of our home's garden or plotting the coordinates of our next great adventure. And with every milestone reached, every obstacle overcome, we felt the universe nod in silent approval, a testament to the power of love and intention. Yet amidst the flurry of our pursuit, we realized that our greatest dream had already materialized. The love that bound us together, transcending time and space, was the foundation upon which all our other dreams were built. In each other's arms, we found solace, strength, and unwavering support, a beacon that illuminated the path to our shared destiny. As we gazed upon the horizon, our souls entwined in an eternal embrace, I knew that our journey was just beginning, that the tapestry of our shared destiny was still unfolding, each thread a testament to the beauty and complexity of our love. And as we stepped forward into the unknown, hand in hand, hearts alight with the fire of passion and purpose, I knew that together, we would create a future more magnificent and awe-inspiring than we could ever have dared to imagine. In the ethereal embrace of dawn, where the world was bathed in the soft hues of awakening, Cora and I found ourselves amidst the sacred expanse of our garden, a celestial haven where the boundaries between earth and heaven seemed to blur, and the whispers of nature harmonized with the symphony of our souls. As we traversed the labyrinthine pathways, each step resonated with the rhythm of our beating hearts, and the fragrance of blooming flowers infused the air with a fragrance so divine that it felt as if we were walking amidst the perfumed corridors of paradise itself. Here, time flowed like a gentle stream, carrying with it the memories of countless yesterdays and the dreams of infinite tomorrows. Our garden was a living tapestry of love, a canvas upon which the story of our journey together was painted in hues of tender green and vibrant blossoms. From the delicate petals of the morning glory to the towering majesty of the ancient oak, each element of our sanctuary bore witness to the boundless depths of our devotion. Together we tended to the needs of our garden with a reverence reserved for the sacred. With every touch of our hands and every whispered word, we nurtured the soil of our souls, coaxing forth new life and growth with the gentle warmth of our love. But our garden was more than just a sanctuary. It was a reflection of the divine dance of creation, a microcosm of the universe itself. Just as the stars sparkled in the heavens above, so too did the flowers bloom in our garden, each one a testament to the beauty and wonder of existence. As we wandered through the garden, lost in the infinite depths of its beauty, I found myself pondering the mysteries of life and love. How had we come to be so blessed, to find ourselves in this sacred space, surrounded by such beauty and abundance? And yet, as I looked into Cora's eyes, shining with the same light as the morning sun, I knew that the answer lay within the depths of our souls. Our love was a symphony, a masterpiece composed by the hand of fate and performed upon the grand stage of existence. And as we stood amidst the blossoms and the breeze, I felt the music of our hearts swell within me, filling me with a sense of awe and wonder that transcended the boundaries of words. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting its warm embrace over the garden, I knew that our journey together was far from over. There would be challenges to face and obstacles to overcome, but as long as we walked hand in hand, our love would continue to bloom and flourish, like the infinite garden of our souls, forever reaching towards the heavens. In the radiant embrace of dawn, Cora and I nurture an enchanted garden, a testament to our enduring love. Amidst its blossoms, we discover the symphony of our souls, weaving dreams into reality amidst the fragrant whispers of nature. Together, we tend to this sacred sanctuary, where each petal tells the tale of our journey, a journey of growth, resilience, and the infinite depths of love.